Hey Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today to share with you this Traveler's Notebook spread that I created for my spring break Traveler's Notebook. This is a spread about some food that we ate on our way to Tennessee, which is where we went for our spring break. So I have this collection from Jed Hadfield, Pebbles. It's called Patio Party, and I'm using the selvage strip, so that green strip, which is at the bottom of the paper for the top of my spread. And that green strip just ends up being a header for this layout. I've learned as I've been creating these double or Traveler's Notebook spreads that these spreads are, they're kind of, we call them spreads, but really it's a single layout on 2 pages. So coming from a scrapbook background, I think of a spread as 2 12 by 12 pages. But you can view this as 2 Traveler's Notebook pages, or you can just view it as one layout that is spread over 2 pages. But ultimately, it all ends up being the same sort of square. Only the principles that I apply on this particular layout, I would probably not ever do on a 12 by 12 square. So here you can see I've run that green strip all the way across, which I would do on a 12 by 12 layout, but then I've created a solid background for the right hand side of the page that I don't put on the left hand side of the page. So in many ways this layout becomes 2 canvases that are designed to work together. So I'm going to wallpaper the right-hand side, basically, of the page. And then that blue card there, that sky blue card that says Eat and Drink, is a pocket card that I actually created in Photoshop 2 years ago for a trip to Yosemite. I never actually finished doing a mini album of Yosemite. And so it is what it is, but I have that card and I wanted to use it here for to document this meal. And then that other little thing next to the Eat and Drink there is just the logo of the restaurant that we stopped at. It was called White Birch Juice. And so I just scanned that, downloaded it, and printed it so that it could go with the photo, which is of what I had for lunch. So these are the die cuts from the collection, and I'm just going through those to see what will work in next to the photo, and then next to the embellishment, well, no, not the embellishment, the journaling card that I put there to tell the story. I really liked that hanging plant, the ferns, because in the restaurant there were lots of plants that were on the wall. It was a very sort of organic restaurant, with local sourced foods, and so it represented not only the earthiness of the restaurant that we went to, but also it was representative of the decoration and the decor they had. So I've repurposed some of the packaging that's got that gold hexagon, and that I wanted to use with the photo just to add a little splash of gold to the layout. I'm going to back the photo and again just to make the photo pop and pull in a little bit of extra color on that left hand side, and that's going to frame or mat my photo. And then I'm going to put that recycled packaging underneath. And again, that's just for, it's the splash of gold to tie together with the gold in the butterfly that is on the right-hand side of the page there. So really minimal embellishment on this, enough embellishment to pull in some color. I have this jute string that is a very similar color to the blue that's on the right-hand side of the page of the spread, and I wanted to pull the blue from the right over to the left just to unite the 2 pages together. And I like, again, it was a very organic-y restaurant, and I like the organic feel of the jute that it adds to the spread there. So that is the bulk of what is going to end up on the page. I am going to pull out my We Are Memory Keepers typewriter and type the journaling in there. And I am going to also, I wanted to add a little splash of color to this. So in a minute, you'll see me pull out my scissors after I've done this typing, and I'm going to do some fussy cutting. So this is the We Are Memory Keepers typewriter. I've seen a lot of people ask about this. I am going to finger type. One of the things that we forget while I learned to type on a typewriter is that a typewriter keys are much further separated each row than what we normally use on a keyboard. And for time's sake, it was easier to finger peck than it was to put my fingers on the keys. The other thing that I have found with this typewriter, if you do invest in one, is that I prefer to manually turn the typewriter than use the register to slide the carriage myself. When I manually turn it, I can control that it's evenly spaced, because sometimes it does jump ahead and you get uneven spacing. So by manually controlling it, I control and get what I want. But I do absolutely love the typewriter, and I do highly recommend it. There's just a few tricks of the trade that you need to learn for yourself with your own typewriter. So there's the typed journaling. I'm going to go ahead and commit to those. And once I have those on the page is when I realized that I really wanted a little bit more color. The color in the food was not the color that I really wanted to add to the page, and so that's why I decide to go ahead and fussy cut some of the flowers that are on that same pattern paper that go behind the picture. And you see the colors, but not as clearly as I would have liked. Those two leaves there are leaves that I cut from something else that are left over. And this is where I'll speed up the camera because I am going to fussy cut some of these flowers. Two of them I will use, actually one of the sets of flowers I'll use above the picture, and another one will go below the white birch juice logo that's there. And that'll just fill that white space that's there and close that up nicely. So I did try it out there, and I do like it there, but I like how that closes the white space down there better. So that's why I chose to put that flower cluster right there. And I have this gold foil butterfly from the embellishment pack, and on a normal layout, I would just put that down and just put adhesive on the body of the butterfly so that the wings will pop. And I did that for the picture, but eventually when you close the book, the wings of the butterfly do flatten out a little bit. I could have put some foam behind it to pop the wings, but I don't want a whole lot of depth to these traveler's notebooks because I do want to be able to get the whole trip in the notebook and don't want it to take up too much space, or I do want to be able to close the book really. So again, I'm going to fast forward through this fussy cutting for the second set of flowers. So this was a meal that we had on our drive down to Tennessee. We were still in Virginia. If you're ever in Abingdon, Virginia, I highly recommend this restaurant called White Birch Juice. It was absolutely delicious. A fun little find. I love to use Yelp and find different restaurants on our adventures. So that, my friends, is scrapbooking and memory keeping in a traveler's notebook. Simone and I have a series that we're doing called Scale It Down. It's every other Saturday, and then every third Saturday we have a Grab 5 challenge. I would love for you to join us. Next week we have the second of our sketch series topic for the month. Thanks for stopping in today. I hope you're doing well. Take care.